Welcome back. This is Justin McCabe from 117 West Spirits, and today we will be making grapefruit bitters. If you'd like to see a little more information about where these recipes are coming from, or check out the last video about orange bitters, you can go right here and hear a little bit more about bitters and what cocktails they go in, etc. These grapefruit bitters, I have actually never made them before. This is my first time making them, which maybe isn't the best place to be doing this, but it's the same process for the orange bitters, and it's a very similar recipe because it's a citrus base with some spices and bitterness. So your citrus, basically when you think about bitters, you can think about, you have citrus. In our case here, it's grapefruit, dried grapefruit, and a little bit of dried lemon peel. And then you've got spice, which is our coriander and our cardamom. And then we've got our bitter, which is gentian and the hops in this case. So grapefruit hop bitters are a great way to just add a little bit of vibrance and citrus flavor into any kind of cocktail. So what we're gonna do, again, is use this ISI whip method, where we use this pressurized ISI whip, which is typically used for making whipped cream. And so let's take that apart and load it up with our ingredients, and then we will pressurize it. So we're gonna go ahead and put all of this. This is 20 grams of dried lemon and grapefruit peel, and you can dry that for about a half an hour in the oven at 200 degrees, and should end up kind of feeling like flower petals at the end. And then we've got 40 grams here of the star of these bitters, which is fresh grapefruit peel. And finally, the last ingredients are about a teaspoon of coriander, teaspoon of hops, half teaspoon gentian root, and 6 crushed cardamom pods. So then, of course, what we're going to use to extract all this is some kind of high proof spirit. You want to go for like 100 proof, ideally. We're going to use rum here. You could also use vodka. If you like our rum here at 117 West Spirits, you could use our 80 proof rum. That would probably work out just fine for you. Okay, so we're going to put 2 cups of that in there. About a pint, if you want to measure it out in a pint glass. And you want to make sure that all of the ingredients are nice and covered in there. Okay, looks like could use a little bit more. And remember, with these ISI whips, you don't want to overfill. So let's go ahead and put the lid on this and pressurize it with 2 charges. And you should be able to hear the gas go in once you get a good seal. Excuse me. And then one more. We're just going to leave that one on there while we put this in our boiling water to basically simmer. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit there. Simmer for about 30 minutes. And we'll see you when that is done.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so we have taken the ISI canister out of the boiling water and cooled it in a water bath, or an ice bath, I should say, for 30 minutes. And now we're going to degas it. We need to make sure we do this safely, so it's good to cover the spout here. And believe me, it's much easier to do that when this is cooled down, because the gas will go back into your solution in here when the whole container and the solution is colder. And then you can take this off if you want. Make sure there's no issue with added pressure there, and then slowly open the container. Make sure it doesn't start, you see, get a little more gas out, and you just don't want it to foam over on you and lose a bunch of your product. So what we're going to do now is filter the solids out through a cheesecloth or muslin bag in a funnel. And when you're doing it this way with the ISI whip, this is really the last step in your process. If you were doing it more traditionally, what you would want to do, if you were steeping it for 2 weeks before filtering it, is you would want to then take all of these solids here and put them into a saucepan like this and boil them for about 30 minutes. However, since we've already boiled everything in this ISI whip under pressure, that step is unnecessary when you do this method. So what could take you pretty much ultimately 3 weeks is all been boiled down into about an hour-and-a-half process, which is really cool if you want to experiment with different types of bitters. So there you go. That's it. We have now, again, a little bit under 2 cups of finished product. Grapefruit Hop Bitters. Try them in an old-fashioned.